So that was just basically a quick kind of aspect. So if it's okay, I'm going to flip through some of these clips, and here we can see. So we have spirit, again, foundation, what we're talking about. The subject matter is spirituality, if you like, and the spiritual awakenings. So we can say, let's look at the subject matter, what we're dealing with. Now, if we're building a structure, we're going to look at different parts because we aim to achieve something. We aim to reach a pure state, if you like, something what looks magnificent or emanates something which is wondrous and beautiful. And this is spirit. This is the light of spirit. So we need to understand what we are kind of embracing and discussing and moving with, harmonizing with, if you like. So first off, you can probably see most of the aspects on the screen: spirit, spiritual guide, doorkeeper, guardian angel, celestial beings, cosmic beings. And on the left, I've just made a brief note of which one it is, of what each one is. Again, it's from the energy of this, what's sitting here, and its perception of its understanding over the years of what these things mean. But if we look at these aspects, then we see when we work with spirit, like, we know some of the emanations where it's coming from. Is it a guardian angel or is it a doorkeeper? Are we dealing with a cosmic being or are we dealing with a spiritual guide? Now, you could say all are one or all, which is correct. But we have a tendency to kind of pigeonhole things so we can make sense and understand them. So there's a brief list, which I really don't want to start reading through. But you can see who we are merging and harmonizing with. Celestial beings, where they're from, what realm do they belong to? We could say celestial beings belong in the heavenly realms. Some would say, well, spiritual guides are in the heavenly realms. And I wouldn't disagree with that. I would just merely say that everything is energy, wavelengths, frequencies, and vibrations. And that's the basis for a spiritual foundation. Because when we begin to look at everything as in the form of energy, i.e. from ourselves, obviously the most important one, we begin to recognize that we are made up of these particles and atoms, subatomic atoms. I don't want to dive in too deep at the beginning, but you'll notice on each one of these slides, at the center point is that word emptiness, which we'll come to further down the presentation. I don't want to frighten everybody at the minute. So there's the kind of the topic of what we're relating to as far as this subject matter, building a spiritual foundation, is concerned. Now, when we build a spiritual foundation, it isn't just about mediumship or healing. It's about the spirituality. It's about the expansion and ascension of what we call the soul, the consciousness, the mind, and the awareness of all things in whichever realm of existence we exist within or we harmonize with, in both the material world as we understand it and out to the fringes of what we understand to be the incomprehensible at this moment, which is infinity. I think it's also important to say that when we think of the inner world, that kind of center point within, and we look at the edge of infinity without kind of overstepping the mark here, they're one and the same. We just place time and space between them. But if we remove the concept of time and space, because time and space is relative to frequencies, okay? If we move our mind through meditation, contemplation, we move beyond the concept of time and we tend to merge and harmonize with the present. Everything exists within the present, in this present moment, which kind of opens the doors to many things. Now, you could say, why is he talking about, emptiness in the present and time and thing when we're building a spiritual foundation? I would say this to you. Every piece of information is, especially what we call spiritual information, is extremely valuable. And they all fit on this ladder, what we call spiritualism, if you like, or the cosmos. And we as individuals and our perceptions place it where we are comfortable with. Now, some people, what are awakening at this moment, already have some of this information. They don't know where they've got it from. One theory is they studied mindfulness in previous lives. They experienced so many things and they've evolved to this point where they've entered this world. And when the time's right, they've had their awakening. And that knowing has ripened within them. So some of this, even though we're calling it a foundation, building a spiritual foundation, they already have some of this information. Those people who have been involved in this kind of philosophy, or this area of teachings, if you like, I've spent some time and still not got some of this stuff. And I would say it's in perfect order with the cosmos. And it really doesn't matter. We enter the space we enter in any given moment. And if we're talking about a spiritual foundation, and the different aspects connected to it, who are we to say what somebody else should have placed in their foundation by us? So this presentation really is just to present different areas of a spiritual foundation. So materially speaking, we could say we've been building a spiritual foundation since the day we landed on the planet. And we can dance a little bit and go, well, come on, let's go further. We've always had a spiritual foundation. We are spirit. We are the light. But these at the moment are tools, the relevant tools, because we're entering a stage of evolution where we really need to develop or create a spiritual practice individually, as individuals. We're not just facing turbulent times, we're actually sensing them at the minute. We're around them. We're in what we can call turbulent times. So the spiritual foundation is the thing what's going to hold us strong, if you like, and protect us. So there's two key things. And I would say we're like flexible stays on a ship, on a mast. That cable, that wire, will hold something in place. And yet when the wind blows, it's flexible. So as much as we go about building and creating a spiritual foundation, and we want the strength and solidity of that foundation to be absolutely rock solid, it's really important to equally generate the flexibility of minds. Because if we develop a tight mind during a spiritual building, a spiritual foundation, and any other day on our spiritual pathway of being, if we develop a tight mind, the tight mind closes up like a fist. It gets tight, it gets tense, and there's stress in it. And also, a tight mind is dark. It's not open to any light coming in to it. So we need to be open to the light within us and the light around us in order to create this wonderful spiritual foundation. So we proceed from that point. What do we need for a spiritual foundation? Acceptance, compassion, love, patience, all those lists that list what we're aware of. Understanding the differences between spirit and guardian angels, doorkeepers, spiritual guides. These all they give us substance to our to to be able to comprehend the incomprehensible, because in a way that's what we're trying to do, which by itself, in a way, we shouldn't be trying. We should just be doing, or not even doing. We should just be in any given moment. But obviously, we're explaining stuff, we're reflecting stuff, so we tend to go through the details in order to understand that what we're trying to understand. So I'm just going to flick again through these. Building a spiritual foundation, as you can see: trust, faith, belief, meditation, light, and the oasis. And on the list on the right side there, most of them are there. Same things: clear mind, rigid mind, flexible, and so on. Okay. For anybody what wishes to build a foundation or solidify it, light is the key, and it's the light of emptiness. We reach this conclusion on this path because we tend to put this mind, or one of our minds we have, which we could say the present consciousness, is the one that relates to everything and tries to make sense of it all. But I would say very much at this moment in time, if you actually look at who you are, if you call yourself by a certain name and a certain person, where are you? Do you actually exist in the form you think you do, or is this an illusion, what you've created of you? Okay. The mind tends to create these illusions, and our grasping to those illusions makes them appear as realities to us, when in fact the only reality is awareness itself. And in awareness, we tend to look at these different aspects. So just quickly going through these lists, what we believe are going to help and assist us: trust, faith, belief, etc. So it's trusting yourself and trusting spiritual beings, having faith in yourself, and the same with spiritual beings. The belief, you can see this. Now, you can see meditation is there. I think it's very important at the moment everybody meditates as much as they possibly can. And there's different ways of meditating, which we'll come through. There's another chart, another slide further down. And the reason why I say this at this point is because meditation gives us a sense of peace. It can dissolve the fear, what people may be thinking about things in their life. Many people tend to beat themselves up and are self-critical of the body and the mind and the emotions. I don't want to be like this. I'm feeling like this. You know, I look like this. I don't want to be like this. Like bin that thought, dissolve that thought. Because all those aspects are merely blocks stopping your light from shining. And so you say, okay, that's easy to say, which it is. It's like, how can we do it? It's like meditation, stillness, meditating on light, shining your own light. If we shine our light, it dissolves the negative aspects of our mind. It dissolves any negative aspects within and around us. Right or wrong, at this moment, we've got many different bodies. We haven't just got the physical body. We've got many subtle bodies. We've got different minds. We've got the present consciousness, or the present mind. We've got the subconscious mind, which a lot of people are familiar with, and everything, what we chuck in there. And then we have the soul consciousness. Or we can all just change them, swap them around and say, okay, if we've got three different minds, and we put energy into this and wavelength frequencies and vibrations, then basically we've got a multitude of frequencies of consciousness if we go within through meditation, the world we understand and many things which we are carrying within us, what we think we are carrying, begin to dissolve. If somebody can put these aspects at the very beginning of their spiritual foundation, it's likely they'll go flying up the ladder of enlightenment very fast. But we tend to be very distracted. When we're working with spirit or we're working internally, we need to really be mindful of all the aspects which distract us as individuals from going within, and do something about those distractions. Remove them, or remove our mind from those distractions.